attimo, c'era una domanda lì prima, un attimo solo, prego.
Sì, ecco, volevo chiedere alla signora Mirren se condivide con Sofia qualche aspetto del suo carattere, se appunto ci sono dei punti del suo carattere che condivide con lei, e se al posto di Sofia come si sarebbe comportata, se condivide insomma il suo modo di comportarsi con il marito. Grazie.
That's a very interesting question. You know, inevitably when you play a role, you have to find your sympathy with that character and what they're doing. And I did have absolute sympathy with Sophia's point of view. Maybe she expressed it in a very excessive way, but I certainly had sympathy with her point of view. It's very hard to say, you know, because the whole economic situation, the social situation is so different now. It's very hard to say whether I would have taken her point of view or not. I'm sure somewhere, ethnically, I have a connection with Sophia Tolstoy's of the world, obviously because of my Russian roots, but we're all, you know, we are all of us very different personalities. Every single person is completely different from the other, so I wouldn't claim great similarities with her.
Can I say something about that? Because I think that the extraordinary thing about Sophia's life is as an 18-year-old, she's, or maybe 20, how old was she when she married? 18, yeah, 18-year-old. She marries this 40-year-old celebrity, still one of the most revered writers in Russia, even at that time. And they have this extraordinary life together. And she's his lover, and she's his muse, and she's as she says in the book, she copies War and Peace out 6 times. She has 13 children with him. She likes being a countess. She likes being a landowner. She likes being a mother. And she likes being a wife. And all of a sudden, after Anna Karenina, when he has this sort of nervous breakdown and emerges on the other side, deciding to become a kind of spiritual leader and making his right, and rejecting his title, rejecting his property, rejecting his family, really, to some extent, and saying, now I'm celibate, now I'm vegetarian. I mean, her entire life was taken away from her. And I actually think that most of us, if our entire lives were changed overnight, would find that a tiny bit challenging. And so I think that, you know, the brilliance of Helen is that that's implied in every moment of her performance, but at the same time, she never compromises the character's dignity, and she never asks for the audience sympathy. And I think this is really the genius of the performance for me.
Prego, c'è una domanda lì?
Ha spiegato che sono una giornalista russa, per quello in tutto questo film che si tratta della Russia e si tratta di una storia d'amore, perché è Tolstoi? Perché è Tolstoi? Perché hai scelto questo personaggio? Si è basato sul libro, ma però potrebbe essere la storia d'amore o qualunque persona dell'epoca. Perché Tolstoi? E dopo se avete usato anche le altre fonti per studiare questo periodo della vita di Tolstoi. Grazie.
Certainly, I mean, there's a wealth of information in the diaries. I've read Cherkov's diary, Bulgakov's diary, Sophia's diaries, Sasha's diaries, and then, of course, Lev has, like, the diary for public consumption that he leaves around to let everybody know what he really wants them to be thinking and doing. Then there's supposedly the secret diary, which people have access to. Then there's the super secret diary that he believes no one has access to, but eventually Sophia finds. So there's a lot of material to choose from. But really the reason, I mean, if I think about the starting point, the most extraordinary thing to me was the biggest media celebrity in the world, the most famous man in the world, a man who's regarded as a living saint by millions of Russians and people around the world, who has an international movement to spread this new kind of Protestantism that he's sort of envisioned and is being kind of, has this apostle Cherkov to spread it around the world. I mean, this guy cannot manage his life at home. I thought that was fascinating. I just think that's a fascinating problem. I think it's fascinating that at 82 years old, the most famous man in the world runs away from home. gets on the train and just decides, I can't take this anymore, I've got to run, I'm leaving. And then that his wife is passionate enough that she rents a train and follows him across Russia. I mean, it's an extraordinary story if it weren't Tolstoy. That's somehow, I mean, even more extraordinary when you look at somebody who you think, God, if he didn't know. I mean, here he is, he's telling everyone how to live their lives. And he has some really intelligent, wise things to say about that, but can't seem to do it at home. And I think actually, maybe I recognize that somehow.